This is a Meatball Wellington. This is one of the oldest recipes on my website. I came up with the idea a long time ago, around 2010, and the idea actually came from my aunt, who's vegetarian, which was pretty random and funny to me, but I was like, oh yeah, great idea, let me try to make it. I first made it as like one long meatball or meat log and stuffed some mozzarella in the middle. I was kind of thinking like I want to emulate the way a Wellington looks, but fill it. It was more of a meat loaf, I guess. But today I wanted to update the recipe and do it more like actual meatballs. So I did a parsley heavy mushroom paste, or duxelles, I guess. I don't have a good accent for any language really. I did a lot of parsley because I wanted it to match the meatballs a bit. And then after you blend it up, cook it down for a while in some butter until it becomes more of a dry and thick paste. When I first made these, I also didn't do the paste. I did more of like a tomato paste. So a lot of people were like, why is this even a Wellington? So I figured I would try to do it slightly more traditional this time, even if I was keeping my own sort of fun spins on it. So after you get the paste ready, I did a pretty standard meatball for me. There's some ground beef and pork in there, as well as a lot of salt, some parsley, an egg, a lot of grated garlic, a ton of Parmesan, and a bit of breadcrumbs. Some people think you don't want to use a lot of breadcrumbs because they call it filler, but the reality is you want to match the amount of breadcrumbs with the amount of fat in the meatballs, because as you cook any meat, the fat comes out, and the breadcrumbs are there to keep the fat in and keep it all juicy and together in the final product. So we have our meatballs ready, and now it's time to stuff them with mozzarella. I made bigger meatballs than I typically do. I usually do like pretty small meatballs, like 1 ounce. These are about 2 ounces, and then the big chunk of mozzarella in the middle makes them even bigger. So broil these on one side. They will almost cook through, but not quite. But the point of broiling them is to get the brown on the top so that you get a little bit of that Maillard reaction flavor that people love. I'm using puff pastry for this. Spread it out with some flour and roll it out until it's pretty thin. I wanted to make sure it was thin enough to, when it sort of folded up and bunched up on the bottom, that it wouldn't be way too much bread to meat ratio. I wanted these to, the first time I made these, I intended it as more of an appetizer, but my thought was like, if I make these right, they can sit on the plate right with pasta, or they can be an appetizer if you prefer. So the mushroom paste down, and then the meatball with the browned side down, and then just fold up all the sides like that, roll it up, and get it onto a sheet tray to bake. Now, it's a little wrong in this clip, but usually when you're using puff pastry, you want to do a egg wash, and then I poked these so that the steam could escape. But in the final product, I actually added some butter, garlic, and herbs to the egg wash to make these more like a garlic bread after they baked. So you didn't see me adding the butter in that clip, but you will see the final product looking a bit more like garlic bread. It has that fleck of like little red pepper flakes, some Italian seasonings, and the shiny, delicious butter. So like I mentioned, get these down on a plate with pasta or serve them as an appetizer. Either way is amazing. If you cook these right, in my opinion, so like broil on one side and then bake until golden, the mozzarella will be perfectly placed in the center of the meatball. If you end up overcooking them, it's still gonna be just as delicious, and there's gonna be a lot of mozzarella in there, but it will have sort of like leaked out and be kind of more around the sides of the bread and everything. So either way, delicious, but just something to keep in mind, like you don't want to overcook and you want to heat it at a high temperature. And in relation to that, all this recipe is on my website with the full details of how long I cooked it and everything like that. So check it out and let me know if you make it.